Heyo.
Oh, jeez, you should be way more excited today. Come on.
Live. I'm going to feign excitement. Live from the Doug Chia's basement.
Yeah.
Behind his dual class shares.
No,
the
put the hat
Doug
down.
Chia Woke Wednesday edition of Business Pants, joined as always by our BS correspondent, Matt Biscardi. And today we have a special guest. We have a fancy expert joining us, the president of Soundboard Governance and fellow at the Rutgers Center for Corporate Law and Governance, Doug Chia. Is that all true, Doug?
That is all true.
Okay.
Some
of that doesn't sound right.
Why would that not be true?
The middle portion felt like an embellishment.
It's all good. It's all good.
I'm an Exxon board member. I didn't realize that. And today's arcane magic called December 7th, 2022, a woke governance game called Idiot or Ignorant. Before we get to that, today's episode is sponsored by S-Gauge, your ESG data solution. We don't actually have the great Paul Hodgson has not sent in anything today, so we can do whatever we want.
Cool.
Can we talk badly about our one sponsor, or do we have to be nice to him?
You can talk badly about Paul, but not about S-Gauge.
But I like Paul. His voice is so silky.
Oh, well, okay.
If the British accent can really fool a lot of people,
What are you saying, Doug, about Paul?
I'm not saying about Paul. I'm just saying the British accent can make you sound smarter.
It's true. It's true. Like Jude Law is probably an idiot, but he just sounds.
I was
really
recently at dinner with Paul, and let me tell you, the British accent did not help him sound any smarter.
It didn't. Oh,
no.
Probably after a couple,
The sake made him sound dumber.
Yeah, I was gonna say, or the single malt. So
yeah. Not that I'm having dinner with our sponsors.
Yeah,
I
what
feel
is
like
that?
I just breached 45 ethics right there.
I'm pretty sure you're out of compliance. I'm going to tell our compliance team.
Social influence right there.
That's
Yes.
it. That's it.
You're conflicted.
Before we get rolling, Doug, is there anything you want to add?
You want to pimp anything?
I'll give you the floor. Is there anything you want to say to introduce yourself other than our terrible introduction there?
No, that's all good. First, long time caller, first time, long time listener, first time caller, long time, first time, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
You're Doris from Queens.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just get right to it, Matt. You ready?
Let's do it. Yeah, let's do this
Matt,
thing.
you've hijacked the agenda today. It looks like you're running the game.
I am running the game, and Damien,
Because you're afraid that I'm going to make a fool out of us.
No, I
know
know that you're going to make a fool out of us, which
Okay.
means you need to give me a little bit of game music and then stop the game music because I hate the game music. So, what do we got?
Sure.
Give me something. Give me something. Oh, see, there it is. So today, in honor of Doug being here, and for those of you who don't know Doug is a longtime expert in governance shit. We'll just say it like that.
I don't have the T-shirt yet, though. So.
Yeah, well, my T-shirt's ironic. I'm hoping your hat is also ironic because
There's no irony, man. Judge is back. $40 million a year. Let's see if some CEO makes more than $40 million a year.
Oh, just wait. Jamie Dimon is rejecting $40 million from his board and then not rejecting it because he doesn't want to offend them. So
exactly,
it can happen.
You don't hurt their feelings for taking $1. Yeah.
The game we've crafted specifically for expert Doug Chia is called Idiot or Ignorant, a governance fail headline game. I've got roughly 7 headlines and then some bonus stuff maybe we'll get to if we have time. We're going to go headline by headline. Yeah. And then the only thing that you have to weigh in, the way this game works is both Damien and Doug say whether or not...
Oh, I'm playing.
Yeah, you're playing too. And then I'll pick who's right. You will say whether or not the question I ask after this headline, they're an idiot or they're ignorant. And then we can explain why, but I don't really care.
So kind of name the person and I'll say if they're an idiot or whatever.
Yeah. So here's an example. We'll just start. We're just going to kick us off. And in order to kick us off, I am going to absolutely do this because I hate the background music. Damien chooses the worst background music. Here's the first one, and you can get a flavor of this. Headline
this is just a sample.
This is like a sample. This is
This one doesn't count.
Teaser. Okay.
First ball in. Yeah.
Disney's board needs some magic is the headline.
Yeah.
The question I have for you is Disney's board and Bob Iger, are they idiots or ignorant? And this is on the back of Bob Iger's boomerang CEOing, the sudden axing of Bald Bob Chapek, and all the nonsense going on there. So tell me, Doug, Disney's board and or Bob Iger, idiots or ignorant?
Bob Iger is definitely not an idiot. He is definitely not an idiot. Anyone who can keep things going for that long, be the most influential person at a company who doesn't actually work there anymore and has gotten paid as much as he has over the years is no idiot. In fact, there's certain qualities that I like about that. The board, I don't think the board are a bunch of idiots. I just think they can't seem to get it right. And, Disney in general, well, let's just say that they are not doing a good job. This goes back to the Eisner years. I mean, this is not isolated to today. This goes back throughout Iger's tenure of, kind of saying he's going to retire, then he doesn't, then he signs a new contract, then they have a guy lined up, then they fire that guy, then they actually replace Iger, then they fire that guy. You can say it's all based on performance, but if you look at how Iger got into the role in the first place, as so brilliantly explained in James B. Stewart's Disney War, you can see this company has a long culture, probably going back to Walt himself, of this leadership succession problem and probably leadership dominance. You've got one dominant figure there. And it's like, okay, that person, somehow everyone's deemed that if that person goes away, the company just folds. So Eisner convinced everybody of that. He brought in a replacement and proceeded to kick him out. And then, Iger they finally get rid of Eisner, and they bring in Iger, and Iger goes on this same kind of, he has like the Iger dynasty where he just can't go away. And every time they're like, maybe we should get someone new, they're like, no, how can we let this guy go? Everything's going to go bad. It's like Starbucks with Howard Schultz. It's like, why do they have to keep bringing this guy back? Red flag. I mean, all kinds of red flags if you are so dependent on one person.
Yeah. That's
wait.
Well, first of all,
you're giving him. It's already over. I don't even get to weigh in
vote
here.
Next. I'm just telling you that Doug is right before you even.
You're going to say Doug is right for everything he says.
I have another question. No, because I do think Iger might be partially to blame here. There's two things that occur to me. One, that the most influential person was not at the company already is a red flag of all of them, right? Like, and second is, did the succession planning problem start when Walt Disney froze his brain, used cryogenics,
absolutely.
Because he expected to come back and rule the company again when he was unfrozen? I mean, you're right. This might date back to the original.
Well, can I just say the business world missed some big clues here. First of all, they didn't replace Bob with someone as Disney beautiful as Bob Iger. I mean,
it's true. He is a Ken doll.
You can't go from one Bob to that Bob. It just doesn't work. He's a Ken doll. Secondly, he hovered around kind of bizarrely. He didn't take any real jobs. Remember, he was taking board seats at NFT companies. He was like Hansel and Gretel. He was breadcrumbing himself around. That we should have known that he didn't really want to go anywhere. And third of all, according to the proxy statement, it says very explicitly, we suck at succession planning. So they are who they said they are.
I think Bob did want to leave. I think the board went back and begged him. I'm sure he was like, look, I'm retired. It's been a couple years now. I wrote a book. I'm on the book tour. I look great. And they're like, no. We need you to come back because the guy you picked is a dud. And I think he was like, Okay, fine. So let's see.
I don't disagree, but yet he's one of the only CEOs in this known universe that had negative things to say all along the way. He somehow his
Jack Dorsey said the
negative
same thing.
opinion kept cropping up in the business press. It's unusual.
Jack Dorsey said the same thing about not only his CEO, but his board and his entire company as he's
share. I've seen it before. Usually they kind of, keep it, limited to like dinner with board members or something like that. But yeah.
Well, I'm gonna answer now, Matt. I'm gonna say
vote.
Neither. How about that one?
Okay.
Is there what's the third choice?
There is no third choice. You're just wrong. And
okay.
That was a sign of our starter question. Just wait until we get to the next question. So you ready for the next one? Here's the next one.
Always.
The headline is, after key changes at Disney and Exxon, anti-woke investor eyes toxic Home Depot and Chevron. All right. I have to preface this. First of all, this is Vivek Ramaswamy and the anti-woke movement at Strive. This is a quote from Vivek. He said, quote, Exxon, to whom I sent a letter calling for greater diversity of thought in the boardroom. Guess what? Exxon recently announced 2 directors they were adding, Ramaswamy detailed. And then, quote, the same thing at Disney. I'm happy to see the CEO was booted after Strive sent a shareholder letter to Disney some number of months ago. So, Strive anti-woke thinking they got Chapek axed. Exxon board members. Sure. Are we idiots or are we ignorant?
Well,
my answer to this is obvious.
Which is, go ahead.
Look, this is drum roll. I don't know if I deserve that. This is a clear moment of idiocy here. First of all, what Vivek is really great at is pretending that things should be shareholder driven, but then being angry at all shareholder choices. So let's take Exxon, for example. Those directors were voted in by the shareholders. They had an opportunity. The dissident directors were approved by the shareholders. And in fact, in the next year, 2022, on average, they received 98% support. So I don't know what he's disagreeing with here. Second of all, the Home Depot thing, Vivek is a certified idiot for this because here's what he says. He says, Strive believes that hiring at Home Depot should be based exclusively on merit without regard to social considerations, which may raise legal liabilities for the company. Okay, this is about the racial equity audit at Home Depot. Vivek, here's what the audit is actually asking for: an analysis of Home Depot's adverse impacts on non-white stakeholders and communities of color. That's it. Nothing about hiring. It's an absolute. Exactly. He's an idiot. It's a lie. Zero about hiring. Nothing.
So I agree. He's an idiot.
Love it.
I'll take a little different angle. Anyone who thinks that, I mean, basically, it's kind of he's such an egomaniac that he must be an idiot. I sent a letter to this company, and then they did exactly what I said. I sent a letter that's like, no, they did not do it because of you, okay? I mean, it's like, get over yourself. And, in terms of, the racial equity audit proposal, he clearly didn't read it.
No, didn't read it. Nothing about hiring.
There are different shareholder proposals out there. Some are looking for kind of, let's look at our internal program, our hiring patterns, our pay disparity, all that kind of stuff. That's not the proposal. The proposal was, are we, Home Depot, having some kind of disparate impact on communities, particularly, minority, underserved communities? Are we going?
It's 4 sentences long, Vivek. It wouldn't have taken you very long to do that research.
But it's like, it's just a matter of, is this internal or external? He didn't read it. He assumed it was internal, and it's not. So, yeah.
What I like actually most is that most of these racial equity audits now they're being put out not by like woke nuns. It's not like half of them are now by the national policy, like it's actually the anti-woke who are doing racial equity audits, but for white people. They're saying that they're
trying to co-opt the whole thing, which we've seen before. And it's this whole like white man's grievance. No offense, guys, but it's like,
fine, I'm
yeah,
grieving
it's white man's grievance that we're being blamed for everything, and we want to prove that the company, who probably has everybody in their executive suite, white guys, somehow is discriminating against white people. It's a ridiculous argument. We can all see it, but these guys, I've dealt with these guys like in person. They are Tea Party activists posing as shareholders. And hey, look, the people on the left, they do the same thing. And so they are just saying, hey, we got to get smart as conservatives and get in this game because it's dominated by liberals. And they're right. They're just going at it, going about it in an idiotic fashion, and they're getting no support.
You want to know why it's idiotic? Because they refuse to buy ESG data from ESG data providers to tell them who's woke. What they need to do is they need to buy a bunch of data, but in order to do that, they have to make a bargain with their devil to do it, which is to work with woke corporations, get the data, then use the data that says a company's woke against the company. That's how they
I think you just created a possibility for a new, type of business, the anti-woke ESG metric.
Correct. Anti-woke ESG. You can get, you know what? We invented board sabermetrics. I think it might be time for us to add anti-woke.
Wait. Is anti-woke ESG? Is it woke? Where does the loop start?
In my brain,
I'm confused
exploded.
though.
Exactly.
They're just because they're exercising a lot of woke tactics here.
Yeah.
So I'm just very confused at what they are.
Kind of like the free market is great until something out there, I don't like something, and then I'm going to ban it, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's
Vivek is can I just say Vivek is very good at this.
You're trying to, the other side's trying to shut down free speech, so we'll just shut them down entirely.
Yeah. Oops.
Vivek is especially crafty at this because he leans greatly on this idea that corporations should only listen to their owners, only listen to the shareholders. But then when the shareholders have a certain perspective, he comes out against that.
Well, he says those aren't the real owners. Yeah. Those are the owners representatives at BlackRock.
Just happen to be the ones who own a majority of the voting interest. Well, I mean, it's kind of like, look, putting the Exxon board in place, the current one, that wasn't like BlackRock's idea. That wasn't Larry Fink saying, hey, nominate my buddies. This was engine number one, a tiny shareholder just like him who put up nominees and managed to get everybody to support him. So, Vivek, do the same thing. Where's your candidate?
Not to mention that he cites instances where 63% say of the shareholders say yes on something. He blames BlackRock, which owns 5% of that vote. So there's just there's no real there.
It's kind of strong point. People blame, our friends at ISS. They say, oh, it's all ISS's fault. It's like, no. Look, if you got like more than 50% against on your say on pay, that's not just ISS's fault. ISS maybe made up 25%. They influenced 25% of that vote, maybe. But they did not influence 50. The other 25's on you, right?
I'm going to say you both get 300 points in a game with no points. Let's go on to the next headline. The next headline is, speaking of ISS.
The devil.
ISS recommends Aimco shareholders vote for change on Land and Buildings Blue Universal Proxy Card. Here's why I brought this up. I know nothing about Aimco. I didn't research them for this show. All I want to know from Doug is two things. Number one, Blue Pill Proxy Card. Explain what that is. I know what that is, and Damien knows what that is, but a lot of people don't even know this exists yet. And number two will be ISS, are they generally an idiot or generally ignorant? Because there seems to be a lot of divisiveness about ISS.
All right. Well, the blue card, I actually don't know anything about, so I can't speak on that. I just thought this was a normal proxy contest where they're sending out a piece of paper that happens to be blue. Vote for the gold card, vote for the blue card. Well, I mean, I think it seems like blue is a very, common color for the dissident to have. The company's the gold card, gold, proxy card. I don't know. Anyway, the ones I've gotten in the mail. The ones I got for the DuPont, I think, were all blue for
The
pelts.
dissident card should be, what color are tiers? That should be the color
That
of the
does feel like
dissident
blue,
card.
doesn't it? It feels clear. The clear card should it be on like a clear up
If I were them, I would use red. The red card.
The blood, the stain from the blood of the.
waving the red flag in front of the bull kind of thing. But in terms of ISS, look, I've had many. I've had my battles with ISS. I've had my,
hugs,
friendships with people at ISS. Most of them aren't there anymore. They're not idiots, okay? I mean, you and I, we all know the people who founded ISS.
Yeah,
they are clearly not idiots.
They're not idiots.
And, but it's like, look, they are serving, they're serving an unmet need. ISS exists because the laws basically require something like that to exist. And, the investors, they need a cheap service provider to do this for them. It's just like any other industry where you outsource things. So they're not idiots. They're just taking advantage of an opportunity. Now, where they might be idiots is if they basically have a monopoly, how come they never make any money? And that they keep anyone who buys them offloads them within a couple years, because I just don't think it's a profitable business. I guess it's very low margin. But I'm just like, if you've got a monopoly and you can't really be successful and everybody's trying to get, you're like a hot potato, I don't know what's going on there.
Damien, I mean, I feel like the success of ISS is the fact that, first of all, half of people buy them, and to Doug's point, they can't make any money. But somehow still directors get a 95% average for vote. So what are we fucking complaining about? Like, how could we think that they're terrible at their jobs when all the directors still get voted in on average?
This is a non-story.
Just weigh in.
Again, they're not doing their due diligence of what to complain at. It's the same Larry Fink theory. It's just
complain. Pick a target.
CEO
ISS is not Jewish.
Or pick a company that suggests voting based on methodology that they publish before the fact. I don't know. There's no story here.
Or you can say it's a racket. It's like they're the test taker, but they're also selling the answer key.
You're not compelled to use ISS. It's
are they
available to you if you need it.
They're the Dominion of proxy?
It's the cheapest way to satisfy a regulatory requirement. That's really what it is.
All right.
Or you could own less stuff. Make it easier on yourself.
Yeah, but then people are like, we're indexed, so we have to own everything. It's like, no one forced you to be indexed, okay?
Yes.
That's your choice of...
No one forced you to wake up in the morning.
That seems harsh.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you both said ignorant, not idiots, which gets us to the next one.
How dare you?
Which I'm going to presage what the outcome is here. But here's the headline. FTX Giselle partnership highlights risks of celebrity ESG roles. And here's what it made me think of.
Yeah.
Damien did a whole bit like a couple weeks ago, a show where he covered celebrity board members. Celebrity board members, idiots or ignorant?
Well, the celebrity board members, they might not be idiots because they somehow managed to get on boards and get paid for doing nothing.
That's true.
But yeah, I mean, if I were an athlete and they say come on my board, I'd probably be like, hey, yeah. But I think the idiot factor is when people get fooled by this. It's like the SPAC. You could tell the SPAC bubble was going to burst when Colin Kaepernick, A-Rod, all these guys were somehow like involved in SPACs or starting a SPAC. It's like, okay, that is a sign that this thing is just gone awry. Something bad's going to happen. Just stay away.
Can I just say, I don't feel comfortable you putting Colin Kaepernick and A-Rod in the same sentence.
Yeah, I guess they do represent very different things.
Yeah, how dare you?
Well,
wait,
neither of them represent board due diligence. Is really what they do.
Yeah. No.
What is the ESG role? I don't understand the celebrity ESG role.
The actual story,
FTX Giselle partnership. Yeah, go ahead.
The actual story is they hire, like, Giselle has been hired, and I can't quite remember by who, as like the head of sustainability at like DraftKings, I think it was, or something like that.
Right. Okay.
It was very recent. And FTX was using Giselle to like pimp product, I think. But so was like Kim Kardashian was on a bunch of crypto stuff and got held accountable for it. She paid a fine. It's basically the use of celebrities as sort of token due diligence and or marketing agents. Marketing,
I'm going to answer. Yeah, but I'm going to answer. It's ignorant. I'm going to say it's ignorant because it gives idiotic companies like ours a foot in to make fun of the company even more.
Oh, all right. I like Damien's answer better. Sorry, Doug. Because
I didn't even give an answer. You
didn't give an answer? What do you mean? You said that Giselle was smart, right? The athletes are smart.
Well, I think the companies, it's idiotic to do it. So the companies. Look, it's like if you hire Jennifer Aniston to be your spokesperson for your product and on commercials and stuff, that's one strategy to get attention. But it's like, you want to put, Giselle or I don't even know the names of the Kardashians, but one of them on your board. It's just like, what are you doing? It's like Donald Trump inviting Kanye West in to like talk about civil rights. It's just like, okay, this is really...
it feels like a hate crime now.
That sentence felt like a hate crime. It did. I'm gonna say right now that Giselle, if you want to be our head of sustainability here at Free Float, it's an open invitation because I feel like it would be great. Next one is another of everyone's favorite proxy advisors. The headline is Glass Lewis's updated 2023 proxy guidelines are released. And I actually centered on one thing. And Doug, you're a lawyer or ex-lawyer or law adjacent. You understand this.
Whatever. I'm married to a lawyer, so.
It's close enough.
Are you like a TV lawyer or are you a real lawyer?
I'm not I'd say the only real lawyers are the ones who actually go to court. I'm not one of them.
So it's like the difference between a surgeon and a doctor of literature. Is that what you're saying? PhD in literature?
Maybe between like a dentist and a surgeon.
Oh, that's good.
That's
good.
Okay.
All right. So here's what passed in August of this year in the Delaware General Assembly. They actually amended their code of corporate law to authorize corporations to adopt a provision in their certificate of incorporation that eliminates or limits monetary liabilities for certain corporate officers for breach of fiduciary duty. Basically, NEOs their liability is further limited if they breach their fiduciary duty if the company authorizes it. Now, companies that are already incorporated in Delaware have to get shareholder approval if they're publicly traded in order to adopt this. And Glass Lewis has said, quote, "We will generally recommend voting against such proposals, eliminating monetary liability for breaches of duty, unless compelling rationale for the adoption is provided by the board and the provisions are reasonable." This feels like a slam dunk. Don't limit liability. Is this an idiot move or an ignorant move for Glass Lewis?
No, I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to oppose this. And I'll use the fancy legal term, officer exculpation, so that the officers have the same ability to be exculpated from liability as the directors do. It all goes back to kind of the fiduciary duties. If directors have fiduciary duties to the board, to the company, then shouldn't the directors also have the same level? It's like, okay, why are insiders treated with having more responsibility, therefore liability for problems when they all have the same fiduciary duties? So anyway, it's kind of like one of these things that legal nerds like me talk about. It does make sense for Glass Lewis to oppose this. I guess the thing that you're not pointing out is ISS is actually on the other side.
Ooh,
Is that right?
Really?
Yeah, they're okay with it. And so,
Do you know their rationale?
no, I don't.
Well, I don't. The thing that struck me about even the Glass Lewis one was, yes, they will generally vote against it,
But they say that about everything.
compelling
That's
rationale.
that's the language they use for
I
just
know,
about
but
Everything is a case by case
Yes,
basis,
yes.
right? I mean, come on.
Can't we say this is not case? Can't we just say that, like, this is one? There isn't a situation in which you would say this is a good idea, right? Like, why would we ever want to limit the liability of fiduciary duty for any group of people, considering companies still get made?
Especially those
people
who
make
run the
a tremendous
companies.
amount of money. It's not like people are like, oh, you know what? I don't want to be an NEO because I don't want increased liability if something goes wrong. No one's ever said that.
Yeah, well, I guess, it kind of goes back to this whole thing with disclosure somehow cures everything, right? And so it's like, oh, as long as it's disclosed, buyer beware, they know what they're getting into, etc. I mean, I have this argument with people saying, I'm like, look, there should be some restrictions on who can be a board member. My hang up is the golden handcuff thing, or the golden whatever you call it, where golden leash, where it's like you have a director on there who is being paid separately by an activist to be on that board. I'm like, companies should have a right to say, no, you can't do that. You get paid by the company to be the board member. You don't get paid by activists. I've got investors saying, no, as long as it's disclosed, we can decide. I'm just like, look, if the company wants to have a rule that says we do not let axe murderers be directors, they should be able to do that. Yeah.
Discriminating against axe murderers. Jeez.
Yeah, it's like if you want to disclose in your proxy statement that the person's an axe murderer and the investors can decide, it's like, how far do we want to take this?
That would
for our
literally
company,
be
let's take it
Damien's
as far as we
dream.
can.
That disclosure would be Damien's
I
dream.
want to know everything.
I think I'm a disclosure guy, but some things just you have to have like off limits. I mean, come on.
I like the absolutism because I feel that.
Let me answer this question with this. Vivek said to Disney, he said, we remind Disney's board that it owes a fiduciary duty solely to Disney's actual owner. So what would Vivek think about this law? That's what I really want to know. I want to know what Vivek thinks about everything. Really, because
he'd be against officer exculpation for sure. Yeah. I think anybody
populism would suggest, right? The populist position is hold them all accountable, right? So,
I think generally the logic is try to hold people as accountable as possible. So, yeah.
So we're gonna go with Glass Lewis. Well done for mostly saying that you would vote against this. ISS. What the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah, I didn't know.
I have to look more into the ISS thing. I have very good sources who tell me this, but I think Glass Lewis, it's a layup. Kind of.
It's a layup. I like that.
Can we at least?
It's the kicking the extra point. If you miss it, that's pretty bad. If you make it, great. You're supposed to. Yeah.
Can we at least agree that Glass Lewis has a much better name than ISS? I just
without a
love
doubt,
Lewis.
with a 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. The acronyms are so out.
You guys know the origins of Glass Lewis, right? I mean, in terms of how the name was created.
It's like Jim Glass and Frank Lewis.
Don't talk over the answer.
I'm just guessing.
So Lewis, I guess it was Lewis Powell, Supreme Court Justice, that it's like, okay, yeah, we like what this guy stands for, and I think that's what they were thinking.
I love it.
Even better.
I suddenly like it more. Two more on my list of this. This has got to be the greatest governance game ever played.
But idiotic. I mean, not to be redundant here, but the answers you give us are idiotic, man. Idiot,
of course
or
they
ignorant.
are. I was just looking for alliteration.
Clearly, an idiot wrote this game.
This isn't a real game. The whole
we need more
stupid.
choices.
Just shut up and play the game. All right, here's your next one. The headline is Tyson CFO pleads not guilty to criminal trespass intoxication charges And this, for background, this is Tyson founder grandson who went into a stranger's house, slept in her bed because he was drunk. He had no idea where he was. She called the police. They picked him up. They booked him. He is keeping his job as CFO of Tyson Foods, and the board has said they have full faith in him. Yeah. Now, here's my question.
Continued confidence.
Continued confidence.
Which what we don't know, though, is that maybe they didn't really have a lot of confidence in the first place. So maybe the continuing confidence is like kind of a...
It's like low. It's like middle,
this idiot kind of
middle low confidence. But here's my question. It isn't about the dude or even the board, because Tyson is a dual-class family company. It is a fake public company. Investors in Tyson, are they idiots or are they ignorant? Because this is what you get, isn't it? When it's effectively a controlled company.
Yeah, I mean, if you own this company, you're an idiot if you're surprised by this. That you've got the CFO who's a 32-year-old kind of family member and apparently can't hold his liquor and does, stupid things like break into people's houses when he's drunk. Yeah. Now, some people would say, that's his private life, blah, 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 blah.
Doesn't seem so private.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in today's day and age, you can't have that kind of thing going on. And what are you doing appointing your 32-year-old son or grandson to the CFO position of a public company? But look, if you buy shares of that company, you know what you're getting yourself into. It doesn't make it right. Yeah.
Matt, you kind of left out the best part, is that he spent about a month apologizing and then this week pled not guilty. I just like that little nuance.
I
apologize for the thing that I was accused of but didn't do.
Yeah. I apologize.
As it turns out,
I'm not guilty of. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the guys who took steroids. It's like, I just want to apologize. I just want to apologize. For what? I just want to apologize.
I don't know, just in general.
I don't know. Yeah.
Can I say congratulations for being one of the only CFOs in this level of market cap that has footage of him in his underwear at a police station wandering around incoherently. It's a big moment for us.
Not only that.
That's going to live on in TikTok, for forever. So
not only that, but he's continued not guilty of doing that. That was all. Allegedly in his underwear.
That was allegedly his underwear. It could have been a bathing suit.
He'll have. Yeah.
I got a sub question, which is Tyson air fried frozen chicken nuggets idiotic or malpractice worthy? They sound disgusting to me.
I mean, I would eat them and then pretend to complain about them later, but I would too much.
I think it's a good idea as a product, given the popularity of the air fryer, but right. I wouldn't serve the thing to my kids.
Well, a sub question: air fryer or oven? Isn't it just
it's an oven?
It's
a toaster oven.
It's
I bought one stupidly. It's a toaster oven.
Why?
Yeah, I guess it's like what? It's like a convection thing. Is that really what the science is behind it? Yeah. There's nothing
heated. Yeah. It's heated air.
They're frying using the oil that's already on this piece of food, right? I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
This is maybe the best answer we've ever given on anything this show. And here's my last official question.
Sure.
Official headline, which is FTX and the problem of unchecked founder power. Now, this is an HBR, a Harvard Business Review story, and it's just like an opinion piece about a founder power and unchecked founder power, where they bring up how not even Mark Zuckerberg was as bad as Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX and the whole thing, and that there is a class of founder power where the exception works out really well for shareholders and all this stuff, and otherwise unchecked founder power is really bad. Now, I have a question that is unchecked founder, because any publicly traded company be fake public and have an unchecked founder, period. Do we make an exception to this rule? Because once you make one, aren't you FOMOing?
Well, he's not.
He wasn't
FTX
public,
is
yeah.
a public company, right?
Right.
But I mean, you don't need to be a Harvard professor or write in the Harvard Business Review this like case of unchecked power. I mean, like if I gave that fact pattern to my 14-year-old kid, he'd say, "Yeah, that sounds like a recipe. Sounds like a bad idea."
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, this is you look at FTX will be the next best-selling book after Bad Blood, for Theranos and Uber, and it's just like this is so classic, and I have zero sympathy for anyone who lost money out of this.
Yeah,
he feels bad. I'm like, whatever, man. You tried, you got greedy. If you put like a couple $1,000 in to see if you get lucky, that's one thing. If you like put your nest egg in this thing, then you are an idiot. And,
yes, correct. That is 100% correct. I don't know why we're doing an apology tour to people who like, the Dealbook conference they just had. The question Sam Bankman-Fried got was like, somebody lost their life savings. What do you say to that person? And I would say, if I was him, you're a sucker. Who the fuck would put all their life savings in a fake currency at like an unregulated entity?
Unregulated, yeah.
What are you doing?
But yeah, so I think here it's like SEC, wake up, come on, like what are you waiting for to do something about this industry that's been around for a while?
What are they waiting for? Do they even understand the industry? Is the real question.
Yeah, I think part of it is like, is this an SEC thing or is it a CFTC thing? Is it a security? Is it a commodity? Is it currency? And so part of it is this like regulatory. Do you want it? I don't want it. I don't know.
Yeah, they're going to be asking this for the next 25 years. They're going to be asking this for the next 50 collapses.
Yeah, because they've got lawyers like me who are kind of dancing on the head of a pin on like this kind of intellectual legal stuff, and so it's like, look, just do something.
And you know what? And Matt, that it is the right analogy is social media and big tech, because it's the same type of companies that have these egotistical founder CEOs, right? And they're the ones that no one can seem to understand how to regulate. It's the same problem. And I think it's because I wonder if it's just that the people in position to regulate or our legislators are just too old and out of it.
Yeah.
Because it can't be a coincidence that these are the two industries run by egotistical founders who no one can understand how to regulate.
Yeah. And it goes back. The whole tech bubble was the same thing. But it's a red flag when you've got CEOs, these founders showing up to, major conferences and important meetings with their investors dressed like we are today. It's like, that's kind of a bad sign. It's like, I don't want to be too elitist, but, hey, when someone shows up in a suit, they kind of look legit. When they show up in cargo shorts and a hoodie and a backwards baseball cap, it's just like, do I really take this guy seriously? Maybe he's got some like ego issues here. It just, yeah.
You know what bums me out, Matt, is that, when Doug Chia is going to be betting on his beloved Yankees this summer, he can see right there, Aaron Judge, has a hangover, is not playing. It'll tell you everything you need to know. When you invest in a company run by a founder who has complete control of the shares, that you don't even know this. Like, how do you even figure that out? Why is everything so hidden? Shouldn't we have a way of identifying these companies that really aren't public companies in the first place?
Are you saying that somebody needs something like board saber metrics? That was the worst pit. That was literally the worst.
People deserve to know, Matt.
That was a pretty weak.
That was weak. That was weak. Doug.
You gotta do better.
That is the end of the game, and our final score was 50% idiot and 50% ignorant, and that is based on zero calculation that I did. Damien is the idiot.
Did I win or what?
Doug wins. Doug,
I win.
Unlike your Yankees, you're a winner, Doug.
Ouch.
I noticed you didn't wear your Montreal Expos hat today. Okay.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Then again, that franchise has won a World Series more recently than the Yankees have. So shame on me.
That is Doug Chia, our governance expert, fancy expert for the day, the executive chair, founder of Soundboard Governance. If you want to find him, go on social and find him. We are Free Float. We do all the things that Doug does better than us, just worse than he does.
And I have no succession plan. So there.
Like
Zero
Disney, that's
succession
exciting.
plan. It's a dual class company, baby.
You're
That's
like
all we got.
Yeah. There's one class. It's called me.
One class of shares called the Doug class. Invest in the Doug class of shares. Come back to us tomorrow.
E class. Yeah.
We'll be here forever. Doug, join us again sometime soon. Until
Anytime.
then, goodbye.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right.